Ni hao, everyone. I think we are live. Let's wait for people to join the chat though before we can start talking about interesting subjects. And a bit sorry for the low energy, simply because I've been working on This Week is Stupid. For some reason, it took a lot longer to edit than I anticipated, but it did take a lot out of me. And it was, I guess it was a little bit depressing this week compared to what I usually talk about. That story about the New York Times talking about the Afghan children was a little bit depressing. Yes, depressing is the thing. And reset the stream. You know what? Like, you actually can't do it on YouTube. If you try to reset the stream, it kicks everyone off, and you have to start a new stream. So yeah, too much VTubers. I think I even added less than usual. Like, it was 3 clips of VTubers. I'll try to do it a little bit less. It's kind of difficult with the VTubers because there are people who want more, and I'm actually asked for this. It's like, hey, can you include more VTubers? It's like, the things you're talking in This Week is Stupid are quite depressing, and it makes for an interesting change when you talk about the more uplifting stuff. But at the same time, I also get people that don't like them. They don't like the VTubers. So I don't know what to do. Do I add more or not? See? It's a little bit of a predicament. It's the same with... Sorry, I just changed the title. Yeah, it's the same with premiering my videos. Like, I gotta do it because if the videos get demonetized, it's how I manage to make a little bit extra from super chats and whatnot. So I premiere my videos, and some people were fine with it. Some people even like it because they get the chat and they can communicate about the video during the live stream. But other people don't like it. Other people hate it. Like, they start watching, and within the middle of the video they can't go back and start it from the beginning. So I made a poll. I remember I made a poll about it. 50% of the people liked it and 50% of the people hated it. It was like perfect balance. Use Amelia doing your mom per transition on This Week is Stupid. Like, what, the ground pound? I would rather use Gura going gas, gas, gas. I'm gonna step on the gas tonight and be the winner. Yeah, the live chat during premiere is pretty fun. See, is what Solid Slug says, but there's other people that would disagree with you. I think they make it harder to share with people. Yeah, they do. Alright. Let's wait for more people to join the chat. In the meantime, you guys can tell me how is it like in your country? Do you still have restrictions? Do you still have measures to protect you against the pandemic? In my country, you have to wear a mask when you're in a public space. And believe it or not, the mask for me is going to become a major problem, and I'm actually very surprised and shocked that no one brought it up. So I gotta, and by the way, like, I'm really curious how come no one is bringing it up, right? I need glasses in order to see, right? And I'm taking a driving test in the future. Okay, so imagine that this is a mask. When I wear the mask and I breathe, my glasses become very foggy. And I don't know how to prevent this, but you want me to drive like this? Like, I can endanger the roads, you know? I mean, I now have to choose between the mask or the glasses. And I think the glasses are going to have to go, because it's the law, right? So, I don't know what to do, man. Like, again, you mask up, right? And when you breathe, all that hot air goes into the glasses, and they make the glasses blurry. So what do I do? Legit question, like, there must be other people wearing glasses that drive cars. Like, how do you manage? Yeah, the masks fog up the glasses, and I'm not talking about like a little bit of fog. No, it makes it very difficult to see through them at all. Make a hole in the mask. I don't think it would actually work because the hole would have to be big enough to be noticed. Like, I need to take a driving exam, alright? There's going to be a police officer next to me. The law stipulates that I need to wear a mask. I need to have glasses as well in order to see, so... It's not like I cannot break the law. I failed the exam. What do you not understand, Thor Jones? Non-Vitaresk. Love the dude this week is stupid. Keep on coming. Thank you, Non-Vitarex. I appreciate it. Try a bit of car wax. Couple of drops per glass should help and polish things a bit. I don't know. I don't wear the fucking things in the car like an idiot. They don't do shit anyway. This is a total... Look, Warpig, I don't think you understand. You cannot comprehend what I'm telling you to. Okay? The law of the land, the law of the country, which is enforced by police officers with the punishment of a fine, requires drivers who take the driving exam with a police officer next to them to wear the mask, Warpig. Do you understand what I'm trying to communicate to you? I mean, hell, if you want to come to Romania and take a driving exam with a police officer next to you and choose not to wear the mask, that's on you. But I think like they're not going to start the exam and they're going to give you a fine as well. Contact lenses. Yeah, I mean, that might be a thing. I don't know though, like I never wore contact lens and it might be. Take deep inhales. It solves the fog problem. Dude, I don't want to hyperventilate when I sit at the car. I think the solution will be not to wear glasses. Like, I think I'll just, you know... And I'll squint. I'll squint. That's what I'm going to do. No, I never wore contact lenses in my entire life. And I heard from other people that they're uncomfortable. They can also irritate the eye, so... I don't know. Another option is a proper gas mask. Yeah, I think a proper gas mask would help. But like, no, I am a little bit surprised that I do not hear this being brought up at all. Like, I've never heard about people actually bringing up. It's like, hey, I got glasses. How am I supposed to wear the mask? I don't understand. Like, okay, what if it's a bus driver? Or what if it's, you know, some sort of tram operator? You know, like, don't they need to see and have the mask at the same time? Like, how do they juggle it? Amazing this week is stupid. Look how they demonetized my boy. They really did demonetize me. I don't know why. Like, this week is stupid is so weird, man. Like, in some weeks, I talk about some things which I say, okay, this is way too edgy. Like, this is going to get demonetized for sure. They don't get demonetized. Like, perfectly fine. In other weeks, I talk about something, it's like, okay, there's no way this gets demonetized. Like, I barely talked about any problem. Boom, demonetized. It's like, what the hell? I guess it might be the New York Times article. Some lenses are uncomfortable, most are not. Maybe I can wear the Sharingan when I take my driving exam. And by the way, why is it so difficult to drive a car? How the fuck do people do it? Okay? Like, I need to watch the speed. I need to watch what gear I'm in. I need to watch the signs. I need to watch for other dumbasses on the street that don't signal and try to enter me for some reason. I need to pay attention on keeping my lane straight. I need to pay attention to what the driver says. I need to pay attention to the pedals. All of this at the fucking same time. How do you manage? Like, what? Why is driving more difficult than some video games? You know, I play League of Legends just fine, but like when you start driving, there's so many things you need to pay attention to. It's weird. It is weird. Dude, it is demonetized. Hold on. Oh no, I can't show you because I'll have to log on my channel, but I can show you on Twitter if you want. What kind of Sharingan? The Mangekyo Sharingan. That's what I'm going to use. You generally get a feel for what speed you're going. I'm learning to relate. Yeah, look, see, Osai and Omega understands me. And what I don't get is like, there's a lot of people that do not understand the struggle. Like, for them, it's like, why are you complaining? It's easy. It's easy to drive. It's like, how the fuck is it easy? You know, like, here's the thing. If I play Doom like a god now. You know, I play the game so often. I don't have any single issue with it. I don't understand why people are complaining about the game being too hard. But I would still understand, you know, if a newbie picks up a first-person shooter for the first time and, like, is struggling with it, I would go like, yeah, okay, I kind of get it. You know, like, I used to be there. But people who drive completely forget about that. They completely forget that there was a time when they didn't know, and was a time when they tried to learn, and when they tried to learn, the streets were probably empty and had less cars and less traffic jams than now. Yeah, I mean, it's, I thought people still ride horses in Romania. No, man, that's your mom. It's a little bit interesting because the people that learned in my country, they did it when the streets were literally empty. I mean, if you look at the 80s or the 70s, there were cars, but not that many. Like, the idea of a traffic jam only happened in big cities, you know? But now it's like... I guess it's part of the central planning that the communists came up with. They didn't make parking lots. You know, they would build like a massive apartment for thousands of tenants with brutal architecture and no parking lot, right? So what happens is now there are entire streets just filled with cars left and right. Did you get the yellow buses to replace the old commie ones like 3 centuries ago? We have modern buses with Wi-Fi and stuff. I mean, they look pretty modern. I don't know. I mean, are there buses more modern than what we have? Maybe. I mean, I guess we don't have like those buses in London, you know, with the two-floor buses. Like, those are pretty fucking cool. We don't have those. But like, no, like the Romanian buses, you pay with credit card or with your phone when you get into them. You get Wi-Fi. Yeah. Are there roads in Romania? Yes, and they all lead to your mother. The pre-driving game is cycling and motorbikes. Those 50 km/h max. Yeah, I didn't cycle. I still don't know how to get on a bicycle, though. I never had my father hold my tushy when I was riding a bike when I was a kid. So, there's that. But I'm glad I don't have a motorcycle. Like, Jesus, every single month 1 or 2 motorcyclists get in a really nasty car crash in my town. And again, there's no parking spaces, right? Like, the roads are congested, there's traffic jams everywhere. And like, a lot of people don't understand. It's like, why is it that motorcycles get in a car crash? It's more often than not the motorcyclist's fault. Like, the motorcyclist is a person that drives properly on the road. The problem is, if I have a car and I bump into another car, it's going to be a little bit of a scratch. You know, maybe I get to replace the spoiler. It's not really that difficult. If you bump into a motorcyclist, even like a tiny bump, he's going to fall. That motorcycle is fucking heavy. It's going to probably hurt his leg. You know, that's why a lot of accidents happen with motorcyclists. And again, like, most of the time, it's not their fault. I personally would not buy a motorcycle now, you know, like, when I'm 34 years old. No. Like, if I was a youngster again, if I was like 18, 19, and I want to impress some chick, yeah, sure, buy a motorcycle, join a motorcycle club, you know, get some camaraderie going on. Advocate for diversity into your motorcyclist club, you know, go join the Hells Angels and advocate for more diversity there. That's a good thing. You know, be a proud LGBT supporter while you're there. But like, when you're 34 years old, if you haven't had a motorcycle, then I wouldn't get one. I learned on a farm, so I did pick it up fast. Yeah, I mean, see, this is the problem. I guess, like, if you learn in an environment where there aren't any cars, it's a lot easy to just pick it up. You know, like, if I were to learn to drive when the streets are empty, and then you gradually increase the number of cars, then okay, fine. But like, if you're putting me to drive, let me see if I can even find an example so you can yeah, I think this is a good example. Yeah. So, yeah, this is actually a good street, but like, when you get on these, yeah. So imagine you're getting on these little streets, all right. Now this is winter, so you can still see the signs, but during the spring and during especially summer, all of these trees have leaves and you can't see shit. Then there's cars that constantly try to just leave the parking space. And you have kids running around from one side to the other. And then you have intersections that can just come up. Like here, for example, is this an intersection or is it just a gap between the buildings? I mean, maybe an experienced driver can make this shit out, but like for me, it's very difficult. Not to mention, like when you have a car coming from the other way, and you have to just narrowly avoid. Like here, look, you got an intersection coming from the left. I guess they don't have priority because they're from the left, right? And then you get into this area. And the biggest problem that I have is that when it's rush hour, you barely have a gap in order to go in, right? And if you wait too long, then the people behind you start honking and the driving instructor say, hey, are we going to get old here? And if you try to get in, then he slams the brake and you say, oh, you want to get us killed? Like, didn't you see that guy was coming? It's very frustrating. Swear to God. And by the way, this used to be the neighborhood that I lived in. Yeah. Yeah, crappy roads, absolutely. I mean, they're made by communists. What the fuck do you expect? Does the driving instructor time you on parallel parking? Actually, no. And I think even during the exam, they don't time you on parallel parking. The problem is that if you mess it up a couple of times, you kind of start getting nervous and you get sweaty and you start making mistakes. If you hit, if you hit the edge of the road, the boardwalk, you fail the exam. If you hit another car, you fail the exam and you have to pay for it. I think like if they see that you're taking 10 minutes to parallel park, then you fail the exam. So, but no, they don't. Roundabouts are the worst. No, I think roundabouts are actually the best. I mean, I think roundabouts are a lot more logical and more consistent. It's like, okay, the people spinning in the fucking roundabout, they get priority, and the people going into the roundabout, they get less priority. But yeah, I mean, the British people are absolutely obsessed with roundabouts. I mean, look at this shit. All right, like this is in Swindon, is where Carl lives. I mean, this is an atrocity, man. Like, look at it. Let's big it up. By the way, why does Google do this? You know, like they show you the picture, and if you click on it, it sends you to a news article. Like, dude, I just want the picture. But here it is. Whatever. Okay, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 roundabouts, and another roundabout in the middle. Like, what is this nonsense? What is this? This is the roundabout from hell, man. You know, like they're lucky they don't have a lot of cars. But can you imagine if it's like American traffic going on here? You know, like which car? There should be on a driving test. You know, like which car gets to be the first one to go through the intersection? Which car is the first one to get priority? Dr. V, doctors prescribe drugs based on human mass, don't they? What if someone lost his legs? Do you add them up or just count the weight? Just fucking Christ. No, like, when a it's the same question that a veterinarian asks you, right? Like, before giving your cat treatment, they will ask you what is the weight of the cat? It's the same thing with humans, right? Like, the moment you go into the hospital, they measure you. Now, if you lose weight during the time you're at the hospital for various reasons, they weigh you again. My area has a lot of roundabouts. They were great. High trust, polite region though, so that probably helps. Yeah, I mean, I think roundabouts are good. And I'm telling you this as a newbie. I heard you like roundabout, so put a roundabout in the roundabout in the roundabout. Yeah, that's pretty much what they did. And you see Sardan frustrated about it, like in America, because he couldn't get roundabouts. You know what really annoys me? Going to Britain and driving on the left side of the road. I mean, let me show you how. I almost got killed in London, by the way. Because here's the thing, right? Like, you constantly make fun of British people for driving on the wrong side of the road. And normally, like, you don't really care about it, right? Like, when you hear about it, it's like, well, I don't drive a car there, so I don't care, you know, it's weird or whatever. And then you go to London, and you realize that you don't really need to drive a car in order to realize that your life is in great danger. Because when you reach a crosswalk like this, okay, the cars are coming from the opposite direction. Like, as a normal person, when I'm fucking crossing the road, I look to the right, right? Like, it's just, you put the foot down and you look to the right. No, you need to look to the left. And it's so weird that I suppose a lot of people got hit by cars. A lot of foreigners got hit by cars. So now they actually have to write it on the fucking sidewalk so that people can know. And don't even get me started with London. Like, those people do not have the knowledge of what a traffic light is. I have seen people cross the street where there's no sidewalk, where there's no, like, they just cross it because they feel like it. They cross it on red, they cross it on green. It's so bizarre. Like, I would hate to be a driver in London. Like, you get two groups of people, okay? Like, it's almost like two factions. And one faction is on the left side of the road, and the other faction is on the right side of the road. And every now and then they attack each other by sending in an emissary to rush through the traffic to get on the other side while the light is red. And I have seen this game being played. I guess it's like a British sport. It's a national pastime. Like, I don't know. Let me see if I can find an example. Jesus. What the fuck is this? Alright. So imagine like a group of people like this, you know, like a big chunk of people, right? And they're on one side and the light is red, right? The light is red and there's a big chunk of people on one side and another big chunk of people on the other side and the light is red. Cars are rushing by in the middle. And from now, they send like one sacrifice to attack the other group and they have to play Frogger as they try to dodge the cars. Oh my god. Thank you, Rafamon. What do you want me to read? I asked my spirit box when the world ends, and they said November the 4th, which is the day after the US elections. Well, no, because apparently we're not going to find out the results of the US elections until maybe January. If you listen to what a lot of progressive people are saying, and apparently Google and Twitter and Facebook are going to ban people that claim someone won the elections before the final count. So the final count is going to happen when all of the mail-in voting is going to arrive. And you have this guy working at HBO explaining to people that what's going to happen during the election night is what he calls a red mirage. So it's going to look as if Donald Trump won by a landslide. However, because it's a mirage, it's not really the truth, and you're going to have all of those mail-in ballots coming in, and then you're going to realize that it's actually Biden that has won. And if you go on Twitter, if you're going to go on Facebook, if you're going to go on YouTube, and you're going to claim, oh, well, you know, it's the night after the election, Trump won, they're going to ban your ass. They're going to Zuckerberg your ass. It's the new terms of service, you know? So, yeah, I mean, I don't want making the rules, but I guess I can talk about the rules, so you know. Trump won't accept post-November the 4th. Well, it's not about him, what he accepts. I guess it's going to be a legal battle, and the Democrats are already lawyering up. Like, they already have a team of lawyers that are going to challenge the elections. No one knows what the fuck is going to happen. The New York Times wrote this very disgruntled article, this weird post, saying that, let me remember what they said. Oh yeah, they said that in the case of Joe Biden losing, he's not going to step down, and the Democrats are going to look towards the military generals rather than the mainstream media. And I'm like, what the fuck are you writing? If I were to say something like that on YouTube, even in jest, it would be a terms of service violations. The hell? This is like published in the New York Times. Good question. If the president can't ban anyone because it infringes their rights, shouldn't that mean Twitter banning me during an election time is illegal? It's not only that. Like, okay, so this all started when journalists got blocked by Donald Trump on Twitter. And to me, it made absolutely no sense. It's like, how is it breaking their free speech? Like, being blocked on Twitter doesn't mean you don't get to see what the president is saying, right? Doesn't mean that you just can't start a new account. But they won at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court of the United States said Donald Trump is not allowed to ban people on Twitter. And not only Donald Trump, like any government employee. Because it violates free speech. And they also called Twitter a public platform, which to me was very weird and bizarre. But anyway, right, so why is it then that Twitter can block or ban or censor the US president? I mean, aren't they violating the Supreme Court? Didn't the Supreme Court say they're a public platform? I guess like no one sued their asses in order to see what happens, but it would be an interesting lawsuit. The chat is not frozen. Yeah, you can make a new account. Like Flying Spin Kick, if I get blocked by you on the Twitter, I can just make a new account and contact you. Like it's not... This was a tactic since the internet began. You know, you would go to IRC and you would get blocked by someone and you would just start a new nickname. Twitter will not unban the New York Post. I mean, I'm really curious. Like, no, Twitter is already deciding that they want to be a publisher. So they're going to act like it. You know, they already... I think Google is still trying to decide if they want to be a platform or a publisher. They want to see how it's going to go. Like, they're using Twitter as a guinea pig. And it's going to be interesting because I definitely think that... What is it? Section 230, right? I think that all of these platforms in 5 or 6 years from now are going to be the ones asking for the removal of Section 230. Because the idea of Section 230 was to protect internet companies from liability because they weren't able to police their platforms. They didn't have the manpower. It would have been too expensive to police 10,000 people that are posting on your platform. But the problem is now they can. They have AI. They have the money to hire larger moderator teams. And if they were to remove Section 230 from anyone, from like BitChute, for example, and other companies that do not have the AI to police their internet, then those companies, which are their competitors, will not be able to exist. And by the way, I was speaking with the CEO of BitChute the other day, and he told me that in the European Union, you're going to need a license from the government to operate. And this applies to the UK and the European Union. And this license apparently not only is quite expensive, but it also gives the government the ability to force you to ban stuff. And right now, you know, it's like violent content or whatever, which is illegal anyway, and the government should be the one policing it. Basically, the government is just subtracting private companies to police for them, which in my opinion is like, why the fuck am I paying taxpayer money then? But the second thing is like, I'm pretty sure in the future they're just going to enact other policies of what you're not allowed to criticize. Like, it's not just going to be to content that encourages the violence. It's going to be like anything. Like, for example, why would France not say, yeah, we're going to ban the yellow vests? And the yellow vests aren't left-leaning or right-leaning. I mean, the yellow vests are an example of people from all walks of life being unified by President Macron in their, I guess, disapproval of him. You have people, for the first time ever, I have seen Antifa and Nazis marching together against Macron. Like, you give that guy one thing, he did not divide them. Like, he unified them, you know? And for years, the yellow vests were proeminent in French politics, street politics, let's call it like that. I don't know if they still even go. Like, they stopped reporting on them. I don't even know if they still exist now. But, like, again, it's obvious, you know? Like, these companies are going to have to do what the government tells you. In fact, it's why Twitter actually informs you, hey, by the way, you've broken German law by talking about this. You've broken Pakistani law. A lot of people were upset because Twitter tells you, hey, you blasphemed and therefore you have broken Pakistani law. And people were like, well, why does Twitter care about Pakistani law? You know, like, why do I care about it? It's like, look, you moron, it's actually for your own good. You know, because you might decide to go on a business trip in Pakistan, or you might decide to go on a holiday in Pakistan, and when they're going to see your ID, and in the case that they have you in a register or something, you're going to get arrested because you blasphemed. So it's really good that Twitter is informing you that you broke a law in a country, so you know to stay the fuck away from it. The yellow vests are a symptom of the failure that is socialism in France. No, like, the people in France do not understand the economy. Okay, let me tell you the problem with France, alright? The people in France want free shit, but they don't want to pay for it. So, for example, they want free public transport. And then the public transport in France starts going bankrupt. And it doesn't go bankrupt just because it's expensive to have the trains. It starts going bankrupt because of the privileges that the people working at the railway industry in France have. So, for example, they can't be fired, they get a huge pension when they reach the age of 60, you know, like, they get a lot of benefits that other mortals don't. So Macron comes in and says, all right, well, we're going to allow the people who have these privileges to still have them, but anyone that joins the railway company from now on is not going to have the same privileges. The people rioted, they burned down Paris. Now that Macron is saying, well, okay, well, there's not enough money to the budget, I need to raise your taxes, gas tax, people riot, they burn down Paris. It's like, okay, well, what the fuck do you want, man? You know, like, you don't want private sector, like, you don't want capitalism, you want free shit, but you don't want to pay for it, and if someone doesn't give you what you want, you burn down Paris. Like, what the fuck? It's like, they believe that the government is the magic man in the sky that waves a wand and just makes shit happen. I don't understand it. It's just like 60% of all French workers work for the government. Yeah, I know. I understand that. The French are the world champions when it comes to striking. Nothing will ever change there. Well, you know, you can make the argument that proto-communism started in France. It's a little bit of an exaggeration, but like, the idea of people wanting free shit seems to be like a French tradition. No such thing as a free shit. Gotta pay for the free shit with the rich guy. Let me give you an example. Okay, you go to the United Kingdom, you go to London, and you see all of these upstarting stores, like all of these mom and pop stores, you know, like individual businesses with different brands and different names on every single corner. And then you decide to go to Paris, and there's very little of that. Like, almost everything, like, there's just big corporations that are running everything. Proles are stupid. You should have figured this out. That is the bourgeoisie that's rioting in France. It's the bourgeoisie that's setting fire to the trucks. The immigration problem in France is not the main problem. Like, I'm not saying it helps. Like, if you're unemployed and you have other people looking for the same job as you, obviously your chances of getting the job are lowered, but no, that's not their main concern. Like, and not to mention, like, most of the immigrants are ghettoizing themselves in Paris and in other, you know, couple of areas. Like, it's not that they're dispersed all over the country. No, the issue is that people don't understand economics. That's the main issue. And yes, I have read about the Paris Commune. And you know what's interesting about the Paris Commune? Even when the French rioted and started destroying works of art and religious institutions and whatnot, they didn't touch Notre Dame. Like, they had some respect for it. You know, now that the Notre Dame has burned away, you look at some of the postmodernist architects, and all of them had these crazy ideas to innovate Notre Dame. And my God, like there was this guy who wanted to have like a garden on top of it. Yeah. France is the birthplace of postmodernism. I don't know. I think Columbia University might be the one. Might be wrong, but yeah. All right, so let's talk about this. I think I might make it my video on my main channel tomorrow, so you might hear these arguments twice. But this really pisses me off. All right, so what I'm talking about, I'm not going to be surprised if it gets heavily censored in the near future. Like right now, it's fine to talk about it. There's no problem. But I suspect that in 1 or 2 years from now, if you talk about this, you're going to be censored. You know, from social media, from all the other places. Pretty much like, I guess it's the same. Like if you're going to be treated like a climate denier or some shit. You know. Okay, so during the financial crisis of 2000 and 2008. You know, when the rich got bailed out by the taxpayer money, and you had like people that were bank managers getting luxurious bonuses, and they were making hand over fist in cash while people were unemployed and they were suffering. Like my parents had to sell their house in order for us to still have something. But you know, like other people were doing quite fine. They actually said that the financial crisis has not been fixed, right? They realized that their businesses are eventually going to go down and they're going to go bankrupt. And the problem with this is that in America, you do not have capitalism. Like a lot of people that are Americans say you have capitalism. In reality, you have a mixed economy. And I think even the US admits to this. Like even the United States call themselves a mixed economy. America is not capitalism. I don't even think there is a single capitalist or communist nation on earth. Most nations have mixed economy. You do have like North Korea as an outlier and other nations like that, but no. So what do I mean when I say about mixed economy? I don't really refer to the fact that you got welfare and you got like other social programs. What I want to say is that if you're part of the 1%, if you're like the wealthy of the wealthiest, when you make profit, you get to keep the profit. When you go bankrupt, you get bailed out by the taxpayer. You get resetted, you know. A lot of companies right now who were about to go belly under anyway, like Hollywood, you know, like there's a lot of companies that were losing a lot of money. They took advantage of the pandemic, which was there, and they justified, it's like, oh, look, well, we're shut down, give us cash, give us money, you know. Luckily, the government didn't give Hollywood money. But there were banks that were doing poorly. Like, you would look at the graph and you'd see how they go down and down and down and down. And then it's like, oh, well, COVID, give us money. Give us, bail us out, bail us out. So you have, like, these groups of people that whenever they make profit, they get to keep it. Whenever they have to pay or go bankrupt, well, the government bails them out. It would be so awesome, you know, if you had this opportunity. Like, let's say you start a cat cafe and you get to, you know, keep the profits. But the moment you don't have customers or you're having bad business decisions, the government just bails you out and it just resets your corporation and you get to start all over. I mean, you know, anyone would want that. So when the financial crisis happened, what they said was that this is going to happen again. Like, they realized that the influx of cash that they got is not going to be sustainable, and in the future, the crash is going to happen again. So they look for another solution. They look for the solution, and it's called the Great Reset, or the Fourth Industrial Revolution, the new normal, like, well, whatever, you know. And this would have happened anyway, but because the pandemic coincided with this, they're like, okay, well, let's use the pandemic. Initially, they wanted to use global warming. as a justification for this happening. You know, it's like, okay, the planet is dying. You need to start suffering a little bit in order to protect the human race. And the suffering is done by the working class, the impoverished. It's not done by the rich. The rich don't suffer. In fact, the rich make more money from this shit. So, you know, like the Paris Accord. Like, what was the Paris Accord? The idea was that you will force companies to pay an extra tax for the opportunity of polluting, right? So, if I have, like, let's say, a car company or some shit, right? I will have to purchase carbon credits from the Paris Accord, and they get to keep the money. You know, it's pretty much like a way of fabricating money from thin air. It's like you're paying an additional tax to a private company so that they give you an okay that you're not polluting. When you look at it, it's got very little to do with saving the planet and a lot to do with allowing the wealthy to get even more cash. So now, if you look at the United Nations and you look at Boris Johnson in Britain with the Build Back Better initiative, and you listen to what other economists are saying, what they're saying is that because of the shutdowns of the pandemic, because of the restrictions that have been in place, the world polluted 7% less. And they want to maintain this. Like, they do not want this to go back to the way things were. They do not want to reopen the economy. They want to keep things locked down in order to protect the earth from climate. So now it's about climate change again, right? And you get stuff like this. Let's see if I can find it. Which in my opinion is quite insulting. And I'll even tell you why it's insulting. Okay, so look at this, for instance, right? Fatima's next job could be in cyber. I love the fact that they even use the word cyber. I mean, like, she's going to work at a computer. You know, when I grew up, cyber sex was a thing. But yeah, I guess she's going to be working on Twitch. You know, I guess she's going to have an OnlyFans account. Rethink, reskill, reboot, HM government. Like basically what they're telling her is like she's going to have to learn to code, right? So we won't have any more entertainment like we used to. We won't have any more ballet. We're not going to have any more of these things because these things are polluting. So instead what we're going to have is like we're going to all learn to code. And if you looked at what Boris Johnson said in the United Kingdom, is that he actually wants to give people free training and teach kids in schools to code. Now what I find interesting about this idea, it's like, okay, get people to start coding, is that the journalists on Twitter found it to be incredibly insulting. Like, they got livid when people on Twitter told them to learn to code, to the point that Twitter changed its terms of service in order to ban people that were to tell a blue checkmark to code. Because it's insulting. Why? Because they're above the code. That's why. Because coding is for the working class now. Like, being a coder, going at an IT company, in an open office, working 11 hours a day, 6 days a week, with HR departments and marketing departments and diversity officers looming over you from the top floor from their air conditioning offices, earning 10 times more than you, right? It's not a job that the journalist would consider as an upgrade. In fact, it's a job beneath them. It's what the immigrants are supposed to do. It's not what the common decent folk like them are supposed to do. But the main problem with this, the main problem with learning to code, is that if you look at the technological trend when you're looking at IT, AI is becoming more and more predominant. Like, a lot of the jobs that are done right now, for example, being a moderator at Facebook or being a moderator on Twitter, a a lot of these jobs are going to be replaced by artificial algorithm, right? Artificial intelligence. It's what I also told my girlfriend who wanted to join microbiology. I told her, it's like, look, microbiology is going to be replaced by machines. Like, it used to be, you'd get the blood from a patient, and you had like an entire team of chemists. You had like 10 chemists that were sitting at a desk, and they were making colorimetric reactions in order to see the color of the blood, in order to analyze just how much hemoglobin is in it. They would look at it under a microscope. Now you literally put the vial in a machine, and the machine gives you on a computer the entire ionogram, how much electrolytes is in the blood, the white blood cell formula, so on and so forth. And that entire team of chemists that used to work is replaced by just one person who manages the whole lab. Like an entire, just one person can manage 4 or 5 of these machines, and he spends most of his time just filling out paperwork. Now, artificial intelligence is not intelligent, right? So you still need people, but like you need less and less people. Like look at McDonald's, right? Or hell, look at shopping centers. Like shopping centers used to employ a lot of cashiers. Now, at least in my country, I don't know how it's in yours, there's very few cashiers remaining in one of these big supermarkets. Like if you go, I think like Kaufland, for example, you scan your own stuff. Like there's this device where you scan your own stuff and then you pay with your credit card and you leave. You don't even encounter a human. Now, I think there's like 8 or 10 of these machines, and there is like one actual cashier that just supervises all of them. And if you encounter some difficulty, or you're unable to pay properly, they are going to come in and help you. But other than that, like there's no one there. Like the invention of new technology means that we need less and less people to work rather than more and more. So I think it's the same with coding, Certain jobs are going to be replaced by computers, by artificial intelligence. Now again, like artificial intelligence isn't AI now. It's not very intelligent. But look how it used to be 5 years ago. Like 5 years ago, the idea that a platform like Google, for example, could have an AI which flags videos even before they're updated was unthinkable. So technology advances. Like I definitely think it advances exponentially, and 5 years down the line we might see more jobs being replaced. The chat was sent automatically because the AI found your stream boring. Oh come on, I'm not boring, Ted. Not boring. God damn it. My Romanian compatriots are calling me boring. I never understood why it's Ron. Like in Romania, we have lei as the currency, which stands for lion, but for some reason it's this. When foreigners use it, weird. Eventually, they'll just have the coding AI anyway. I don't know, like if they can actually replace coding, but being a moderator at a tech company, that can be replaced. In fact, that's probably the first thing that's going to be replaced. I guess like there might be programs that can require less people to figure out a solution for. So yeah, 200 good boy points. Thank you, Foxwood. I appreciate it. Masses will wake up soon. Yeah, you say that, but like again, let me see if I can find Boris Johnson's speech. All right. Or never mind. You'll see it in my video tomorrow. I'll upload it on my main channel. But basically, Boris Johnson said something really ridiculous. He said that there's going to be pressure for things to go back to normal, but most people don't want to go back to normal. And it's like, okay, well, if most people don't want to go back to normal, where is the pressure coming from? But more importantly, and this is the same criticism that the Great Reset got, is that it's an overly academic and elitist point of view. Critics argue that he overstates the size and potential impact of the creative class, neglecting many economic and social realities. They also argue that he ignores many factors that people consider when they choose a place to live. In other words, he ignores the human element on the ground. And this is what a lot of the elites are doing. And by the elites, I'm saying like journalists and people in the academia and politicians and big businesses. Like what they're doing is that they look at the world as if they're percentages on a piece of paper. You know, they don't realize that there is the human element on the ground and that people are going to get affected by this. So, I don't know. I mean, the way I view this whole COVID thing, I don't even know if it's okay to say it on YouTube based on the terms of service, but I don't think I'm violating anything if I say it. All right. Here's what I think about the COVID restrictions, okay, about the COVID measures. I think it was the middle class hiding out while the working class was bringing shit to their door. I think is the best way to explain it. You know, and think about it. You know, the middle class, the people in IT, the people that had the opportunity to work from home, you know, they hid out, they bunkered down, while the working class, the guys working at Amazon, the guys working in the warehouse, the drivers, the little guy, the farmers, they were still creating shit, getting themselves exposed to the disease while bringing the stuff to the door at the bourgeoisie middle class. There's exceptions to this. You know, there are a couple of middle class people that also lost their job, especially people working in tourism, the service industry, you know, other places. But overall, like the people working in office and IT, you know, these are the ones that are the loudest advocating to keep the crackdown for as long as possible so that they get to feel safe. It's really interesting when you look at it from a class, you know, perspective. I mean, in Africa, do you know how they call COVID? They call it the hunger virus, because the biggest problem with losing your job means that you can't provide for your family. They were more worried about starving than they were about getting sick. Do you see mass unemployment coming in a result of AI and automation? It depends how fast it happens. Like the good thing, well, you can call it good, is that in my country, for instance, the population is in decline anyway. So, you know, a declining in the number of jobs, but a raise in the number of outcome is actually a good thing. But when you look at other countries that are taking in more and more people, or companies that are greedy and they would rather hire an immigrant that is paid part-time and is made to work 11 hours a day, or else they threaten that they will send him back. Yeah, they would rather hire that than hire local. I mean, there was a guy recently which did an interview with the opinion of being a pro-border activist, right? Like he did an interview about the people that get helped and whatnot. And when he saw the reality, he became a Trump supporter. And I'll tell you the reality, all right? This is what happens to Romanians that go in Germany to pick asparagus. During the lockdowns in Romania, they were some of the stricter lockdowns in Europe. Not the most, but like it would definitely be on top 6. These people that wanted the government that wanted people to be locked up made an exception for the people that traveled to Germany in order to pick asparagus. And because it got media attention, because people were upset, it's like, well, hold on a little bit. Like, I'm forced to stay in my house, but I have to, you know, like, look how people go to Germany to pick asparagus. Like, I can't go to work. You know, I can't work my farm, but, like, the government allows that guy to go to Germany to pick asparagus. It's not even, like, a necessity. It wasn't even, like, You know, like they're picking up grain in order to make bread for people. It's fucking asparagus. Like, you can survive without it. What the fuck, right? So a lot of people were upset about it. And when you look at what happened to the Romanians that went to Germany, their ID card was taken away. They were forced to work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Not provided any type of protection, not provided any type of tools. They had to work with their own hands. The fact that they had the privilege to stay at those corporations and sleep in those bunks that the corporation provided to them was taken away from their wage. They couldn't leave. They couldn't go back to Romania because of COVID. They couldn't get away from Germany because their IDs were taken. You know, and this is the reality of all these immigrants that are going. It's not like they're coming to Germany to integrate and become German. No, they're coming to Germany in order to slave to death. That's the reality of this. And you're not going to see the media even look at it. You know, they constantly advocate for open borders and blah, blah, blah. But what happens with these people that once they come from an impoverished place into a richer area? What happens to them there? Why don't you look how the companies treat them once they get a job? Whatever. The middle class suffered even more. Well, I'm not at war with the middle class, by the way. The middle class just has different interests than the working class, you know, and the example that I gave with the middle class hunkering down and wanting restrictions is absolutely true, but it's also the middle class whose kids went out and burned the businesses of the middle class in America, you know, causing millions of damages. Like, most of them were rich kids. I mean, sure, you also had some impoverished people that went there and loot and took advantage of the situation. But when you look at the people that got arrested from Antifa, for example, and you saw their faces and you saw who they belonged to, most of them were rich. Like, there was an article, I believe, that I talked about it on my main channel, with this lady whose dad was a psychologist and her mother was an architect. She went out and did $500,000 worth of damages. The left would really shoot right-wingers nowadays when they take over, because we already have unpersoning, which is basically the death sentence, and all have social media. Okay, I'll tell you something about that, which I find very interesting. Do you know why rock music was banned under the Iron Curtain? Like, this is something that really shocked me when I found out. Most rock music in the United States was left-leaning. Most rock music in the United States was criticized that they're being pro-communism. You know, because, you know, they were advocating for freedom and they were against war, and some metal bands were up for criticizing religion, and they were up for criticizing America and whatnot, and imperialism. So you would think that the communists would have loved this. But no, they didn't. They banned rock music. So in my in my country, there's even a commercial. Right? Let me show you the commercial because it's very funny. I'll probably make a video out of this. Most Romanians know the commercial. I'll translate it. It's just 40 seconds. Okay, so the commercial is for an old chocolate bar that used to exist in Romania. And now it came back, so they make this commercial. Okay, so you got like this guy with long hair. And he's eating the chocolate, right? He looks like a soy bourgeoisie American, doesn't he? So you got the secret police. Now the secret police, they were called like that because they were dressed as civilians. So you couldn't tell them apart. And you didn't know that they were police, but they had full authority. Like, they could do pretty much whatever they wanted with you. So, you know, like, they grab this guy, they throw him in the car. And they drive away. Now, you might ask, well, why didn't anyone do something about it? Like, the reason the commercial works is because it's very similar to the mentality people had back then. You saw that shit on the street, you didn't talk about it, you didn't look at it, you didn't even notice it, you just minded your own business. Because if you start asking questions, you would be the guy being thrown in a car, or worse, your family. So So the guy's like, what have I done? And the guy says the party wants you to have a haircut, rocker. Okay, so they shave his hair and then they kick him out of the car. Right? There's another one, funnier. You have like this chick which is dressed like Misty from Pokemon, but like also, you know, American clothing. It's Western fashion, which was considered to be degenerate, but like, okay. So these were like the patriotic songs. And you have like the dear leader coming, and he was always, you know, when you would visit something, you'd have people with the Romanian flag and, you know, children dressed up in patriotic uniform.
Tovarășe, nu tolerăm așa ținută!
So he says, comrade, we do not tolerate such an outfit of harlot.
Pentru tineretul comunist! Luați-o!
The young communist people do not dress like this, take it away.
E o provocare!
This is a provocation. Okay, now, all of this is, you know, a little bit of humor, a little bit of jest. But why was it, right? Why did the Communist Party did not appreciate rock music and hipster clothing? The reason they did not appreciate it is because it humanized Westerners. I recently just found out, because I was really curious. It's like, well, why didn't they allow like some type of music that's okay and some type of music? No, it humanized Westerners. That is why they didn't allow it, because it made, like, the entire ideology was that the West is evil, they're imperialists, they're, like, every negative thing under the sun was attributed to the Westerners. Yeah, they rejected the humanity of the Westerners, and this type of music, it humanized the West. Kind of similar to what happens with cops lately, right? Where like you even have Paw Patrol being canceled. I mean, let me just, you know, it's okay to criticize the police. It's okay to bring up like cases of cop abuse or whatever. However, you have TV shows like Cops getting cancelled. Oh, look, Paw Patrol didn't get cancelled. Okay. But you do have like people freaking out on Overwatch's forums because you have people complaining about, what is her name? Yeah, people complaining about Bridgette's police skin. Like, they say this is violence towards minorities. Like, if you go on Reset Era, you're going to find all these people complaining about this shit, you know. And the reason they complain about it is because it humanizes the police officers. That's why, you know. So, yeah, in order to respond to the question that I was asked earlier, it's like, why, like, do I believe there is a propaganda against... Yeah, I do believe that there is a propaganda against it. Yeah, Diva as well. Oh, they returned it. There was a backlash, but the media was silent. Okay. No, but like, that's the point. You know, that's why they do it. It's to dehumanize so that... I mean, it's easier to hate and do violence towards something that it has been dehumanized than it is to hate and do violence towards something that you consider as another human being. It's why when you have war, the first thing that war propaganda does is it demonizes the enemy. Here's an example, right? Sabaton has a song about it. It's a World War II story, where a German World War II pilot was supposed to down another plane before he would have gotten a medal for it. And in World War II, both the Germans and the British, they would have a code about honor in the sky. And part of that code was never to shoot down someone that is in a parachute, right? Because it's easy killing. The people on the ground can arrest them anyway. And it was considered unsportsmanlike, uncivilized to shoot down someone with a parachute. But anyway, the guy sees a British bomber and he arms, he gets into his plane, goes all the way up, and as he approaches the British bombing airplane, he notices that it took a lot of damage from anti-air. And the people inside were wounded. They barely managed to keep the plane alive in flight. So what ends up happening is the German actually escorts the British bomber all the way past the canal, and then they salute and they depart. Later, like, you can find this on YouTube, I believe. There's a documentary about it. There's also a recording of the pilots meeting after the war. But what ends up happening is that when the British go into the barracks and they say, look, a German did this, you know, like, we were almost about to fall, but like, this German flew in formation with us and protected us from the anti-air. And yeah, Charlie Brown and Franz Stingler are the people. The officer said, you're not allowed to say anything about this. Like, you're going to be court-martialed if you tell your story to anyone else. Well, it was an American B-17, but it was operated by the British. So, you know, like, it's part of the humanizing. Like, when you want people to be aggressive towards a perceived enemy, you have to dehumanize the enemy, you know? Like, you can't allow shades of gray. You can't allow any idea of compassion or humanity. So that's why rock music was banned in Romania by the communists. Did you watch Five Finger Death Punch latest music video based on Red Pill? No, I'm sorry, I did not. Late the stream. Here's my money. Pay yourself a few hours on the road. All the things to watch for will become intuitive with practice. You won't worry about it after 50 hours of practice. Thank you, Maps of Being. Like, I already planned on getting some extra hours as driving lessons. Me and my girlfriend are learning to drive. And again, like, now there's 600 people watching. Maybe you guys can give me a solution for this. Like, I'm actually struggling with this. So, the law in my country is that if I go in a public place, I have to wear a mask. And if I take the driving test with, you know, like, if I take the driving exam, I have to wear a mask. So, the problem is I also wear glasses, right? And I need them to see. And if I wear a mask, and I breathe in and I breathe out, the glasses become very blurry. They become foggy to the point where I can't see anymore. So, what the fuck do I do? You know, like, it's going to be a really difficult solution. I guess I'm going to just drive without my glasses, because in medieval times, they mostly don't demonize the enemy unless there is religion in this. Well, in medieval time, you rarely had... I mean, you rarely had war between the same religious faction, you know? I mean, Catholics going to war against Catholics. It happened, but it was rare. Usually, like, they would choose a different religious denomination, and they would be like, no, we're the true Christians, they're not. My instructor is a bro, and we don't wear masks. Man, even if that's the case, when you give the exam, when you give the driving exam, you have to wear the mask, so... How does headphones help? Keep the glasses on the tip of your nose? And then I don't see shit. Oh yeah, it works. Hold on. Oh my god, like this is... Holy shit! My god, the guy is a genius. Pinch the tip of the mask around your nose and put it under where your glasses sit. Scotty, you're the man. You're the man, Scotty. Glasses don't fog up if I wear a damn mask. Yeah, I mean, the problem with the driving exam is like you don't really know at what time you're going to give it. It might happen that you're giving it in the morning. It might happen that they tell you, oh, be there at 10 p.m. and they come at 2 p.m. and they're like, okay, well, sorry, I'm late. You can't stab the mask. Yeah, life hacks from chat. Get a good quality 1.5 mask. Like a 3M or Norton. Are you allowed to wear a face shield? No, I don't think I'm allowed to wear a face shield. Hold your breath. Yeah, I'll probably do that throughout the entire exam. Leave an opening at the bottom of the mask. I don't think... No, like the idea of a damp mask might work and putting the glasses on the tip of the nose. Contact lenses, yeah, they're also a possibility. But I'm really curious, like, why don't more people bring this up? Like, you would think it's a huge problem. Like, what do bus drivers do? What do, you know, same with the taxi drivers. Man, like, I'll probably ask a taxi driver, though I haven't seen many that also wear glasses. Screw the mask. Oh, yeah, that's a big brain. Like, from Vincent. Vincent! Wow, you just got 300 IQ points there, baby. So let me get this straight, alright? The law in Romania, which is being enforced by the police officers of the Romanian government, says that you need to wear a mask when in a car, and I need to take my driving exam with a police officer of the Romanian government sitting next to me. And your big brain, high IQ, is not to wear a mask. Well, I have to say, like, this is some staunch commitment from Vincent. This is Vincent bringing us the wisdom pills. Fucking God. Yeah, they will fine you out of this world, pretty much. No, I don't think they will fine you. I think they'll just refuse to start the exam with you. Like, they will say, no, I'm not, like, the law says you need to wear it. Until you put it on, I'm not getting in the car with you. Yeah, of course, in Cheng's voice, yes. No one brings it up because the bureaucrats don't care. Yeah, like, I'm really curious, like, this must have come up and inconvenienced a lot of people that wear glasses. And, like, no one in the television is talking about this. Like, no one gave a solution about this. Because here's the thing, like, usually when I go out, I don't wear glasses. Like, that's the solution, you know? Like, okay, if I have to choose between the mask and the glasses, fine, I don't wear the glasses. But, like, when I'm at the driving wheel and I need to be hyper-focused and aware of what's going on, I need the glasses. Hold on, I got a Romanian giving me money. Thank you, the Skater, 84. I need to give the Skater, 84. Were you born in 84? You're older than me. Gave you a range, Grandpa. I took such a long time to get my driving license that I gave up and was then called up by the driving school and got 10 double lessons for free and then managed to get my license. Why would they give you lessons for free? You know, like, I noticed how the driving schools operate. You know what's fucked up? When you have a mind like my own that tries to see the worst in humanity, a lot of things start making sense. Like, you start understanding a lot of things when you look at through the V lens. So I'm like, okay, the driving school is a company, right? What does it want? Well, it wants two things. It wants to spend as little money as they can with you, and they want to make as much money as they can out of your ass, all right? So what does this mean? Well, it means they're going to want you to pay for extra lessons, and it also means that they don't want to wreck their car using you. So they want to use their car with you, preferably as you're driving straight on a boulevard. You know, no starting from a ramp, no fucking with the clutch a little bit too much. You know, no tight corners, none of that. So what they do is, like, they will usually just make you drive on a straight line, and occasionally, you know, they might take you to other places, but, like, they try to avoid congested traffic. They try to avoid things that means you're going to fuck the clutch a little bit more than they like, or, you know, like anything that stresses the car. Yeah, no drifting. And the idea is like here's what I realized, okay? If I was to create a driving school from the ground zero, I would think that what a person needs to learn how to drive is to understand the signs of the road, when to give priority and when not, understand how to control the car, and understand how to properly situate the car on the street, right? I wouldn't start by putting a person into fucking traffic. If you put a person into traffic from day one, it's going to happen the shock that I had. It's like, okay, well, I need to watch my speed. I need to watch what gear I'm in. I need to look at the other people in the traffic. I need to look at the people on the road. I need to look at the signs. I need to, it's just like a huge shit that just comes onto you. If you were to take a person and take them into a polygon or, you know, a parking lot and slowly just try to get him to learn how to maneuver and how to get the feel of the car, and then you slowly introduce more and more, it would probably be a lot more easy for a person to learn, but then they won't want to get like those extra driving lessons. You know? So that's what I think. V's driving school, stalling for 1 hour and 30 minutes. Just ask the driving instructor to change the car windshields in your needed diopters, yeah. Do you know the correct swear words and sign language? Yeah, I actually asked the driving instructor. I was like, when do I learn to curse? And he's like, no, you learn that from personal experience. It's actually detrimental at the exam. Like, it's considered a minor traffic violation if you start cursing and swearing. You know, like, when you're driving, you notice a lot of monkeys on the road. And what I mean by this is, like, there is another car, and you can't hear what goes in the other car, right? But you see the person, like, doing this, you know, and he's angry at you, and he's like... And it's like, what is he doing in the habitacle? You know, in the inhabitable area of the car, he is just like a gorilla. He's trying, you know, he's trying to tell you something, but I never understand what. It's like, dude, I can't hear you. Do you guys not notice that? Like, you're driving with your car and some other people, like, start just, you know, gesticulating and you see that they're red in the face and a vein is about to pop. And they're like looking and making eye contact with you, and like the hands are moving in all the directions. Like almost they're doing jutsu in the car. You know what I do in order to agitate these people even further? Like all I do... Yeah, he's listening to rap. All I do in order to make them even more upset, and like to me it's funny, you know, because I don't hear like what they say, but it's usually like when you're supposed to give them priority and you don't, you know, it's like they're driving really fast and you're taking a sudden turn without signaling, and then they put a brake and then they start doing the jutsu in the car and they're like in order to make them a bit more animated, like in order to get them a little bit more agitated, you're like, I can't hear, what are you saying? Like, I can't hear. And I'm like, what, I don't know. Road rage jutsu. No wave and smile, because then you're condescending. You actually act like you can't hear what they're saying. It's like, what? Or you're like, what? No, but I'm going to learn how to drive. Message deleted by the Google moderator team? I never thought that the Google moderator team will take interest in my little channel. But like, if you're a Google moderator, I hope you're having fun. You know, do you drive? Like, let me know if you drive, because like I'm struggling. You know, it's really annoying that literally every single person gets upset when they see someone learning how to drive. Like, I don't know how it's in your country, but in my country, like, the car actually has that thing on top which says driving school. You know, like it lets people know that, okay, this person is a newbie, like he's learning, he's trying, right? He's trying. But like people still get upset, they honk and they gesture and they show you sign language and whatnot. And like thinking, did you came out with a wheel from your mother's birth canal? Like, were you a born driver? Like, what the fuck, didn't you go through this? Maybe that's the explanation, you know? They went through this and now they feel like they can finally get to do this on others. Like they get the feeling that, now I can offend others. Now I can oppress others like I have been oppressed when I was learning. I think there's someone with the name Google Moderator Team. I don't think there's actual Google moderators in my chat. It would be weird. Is it because of the title, The Great Reset? It's like, man, there's a book you can buy. There's a Wikipedia article on it. I mean... Let me see if I can find it. Like it's not a conspiracy theory. It's on the World Economic Forum. You know, just you can read the website. It's public knowledge. You access it from Google itself. So yeah. When you drive a lot and you're good at it, you'll get annoyed with stupidity on the road. Yeah, but if you drive a lot, don't you get used to the stupidity on the road? I mean, here's the thing. I think like most people drive fine. But like, imagine this, you know, you drive a month and you do nothing stupid. And then, you know, once you go over, you don't give priority when you're supposed to, or, you know, you turn a hard right without signaling. To you, it sounds like, well, I'm always driving right, you know, this is just one mistake. But for someone else that's behind you, that could be like the 5th or 6th mistake that you saw that day. You know, it kind of feels that, okay, well, it's just people that are constantly, it's like the same people doing the mistakes. I don't think that's it. I think it's more like people rarely make mistakes, but they add up. Like when you're driving on the street with thousands of other people, if 10% of them do mistakes, they add up. Yeah, pretty much like driving school, please no bully. Like, I don't understand, like, what is the purpose of trying to shame someone who is learning to drive? Like, I have no shame. Like, I'm learning to drive. Like, of course I don't know how to drive. If I knew how to drive, I wouldn't be doing this shit, right? It's like trying to shame a guy who learns League of Legends for the first time. He's not that emotionally invested in the game in order to get upset. No, you shame someone that's like a proficient driver. You know, he's an expert driver and he does bad stuff. Then I get it. Like, yeah, okay, that's different. I'm curious, like, what did someone say to even have their message removed? Because, like, usually, I don't have, like, the hate speak in my chat. Yeah, I can't even say what I can't even see what their message was. Weird. Most people do not drive fine. Most people do not even bother using directional signals. There is no respect in traffic anymore. Well, it depends like what country you're from. And it depends what city you're from in that country. Playing League doesn't put others' lives at risks. I mean, yes, but if you're driving slowly, especially in the city, and you're driving with 30, 40 kilometers an hour, even if you get hit, it's not the chances of a fatal car crash happening is still low. You know, you got airbags, you got your seatbelt, you're driving slowly. So yeah, I guess you're putting more their financial at stake because now their insurance goes up. You probably have to repair the car, and there's probably hospital bills. So yeah. If you pass the test without glasses, you have to wear then you have to wear glasses to drive all the time in the future. No, actually, here it's not like that. Here, if you have like a medical condition, like let's say you suddenly have your sight becoming worse than it used to be, you have to declare it to a doctor, and the doctor will tell you if you're allowed to drive or not. Have you seen the Hungarian trucker cursing at the illegal immigrants? Yeah, I have seen it, and I think he got fired for it. My time is more important than you. Get off the road. Yeah, I generally like don't understand why people are in such a rush. Like, my God, like you see some people, if they catch a traffic light, it's like the end of the world for them. I don't understand this. It's like, dude, it's just like, if you add it up, it's like, what, 2-3 minutes where you have to wait? Like, so far, I was actually curious one day, and I timed how much time I spent at an intersection. And the entire day, despite the fact that there was big traffic, I never spent more than 30 seconds at an intersection. And I'm thinking like, okay, well, let's say you have to go to work, right? So you pass through 5 intersections and, you know, let's say maybe 10 traffic stops. Dude, that's like 10 extra minutes. It's not that much. You know, like there's no reason to start risking it and start pushing the car and taking unnecessary risks in order to try to get there faster. Who else wants a driving stream? I wouldn't be able to do a driving stream, man. Like, I don't have the knowledge yet to have everything like put in muscle memory. You know, so like talking while at the same time, give it to me on DM, Rafma. Talking and at the same time being careful where I drive, yeah, I can't do that. I could probably like record, you know, driving from point A to B and then put some audio commentary over it. Here in America, if you take the test with glasses, you get a mark on your license that says you have to wear your glasses to drive. Man, that's kind of interesting. Like, what happens if you forget the glasses? Or what happens if, yeah, I guess like, see, I don't really appreciate type like that, because if that was the case here, I would have taken the test without the glasses, because my eyesight isn't that bad. I mean, it is giving me a headache, but like, the idea that if I don't have the glasses, I can get a fine is something that I wouldn't want to, you know, because like maybe you're in a rush and you just forget them. Get a Tesla, record while it self-drives. Do they actually do that? Do they self-drive? Like, I wonder how long will they last in Romania with the current traffic that it is today. You'll talk and drive a lot soon, huh? How do people record shit on the motorcycle though? Like, motorcycle is really loud, and I see a lot of YouTubers like recording as they're walking on the motorcycle. It's like, okay, first of all, where do they put the camera? Like, do they stick it on top of the helmet? And secondly, how do they manage to talk so that the voice can actually be heard and not the engine of the motorcycle? They have you take a vision test to determine whether you have to wear glasses while driving. Okay. I have no restrictions, but I prefer to wear glasses. Yeah, same thing here. If you forget the glasses, you're a danger on the road. Yeah, I guess. You know, I'm not going to say no. I mean, every little bit helps. Noise canceling and microphone in the helmet. Yeah, I think so. I think that's the situation. I really need my glasses to see. If I forget them, I can't drive. Yeah, but like, I'm not at that stage. You know, I'm not at the stage where I can't see. I can see, it's just that I get a headache after a while. In the helmet, there's room for microphones. Yeah, that's probably what it is. Alright, well. Google deleted you saying you were having fun. What did Paul Vanish even say? I saw like Google moderator team deleted someone. And I'm like, what? Why? Anyway, right. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully you liked my video on my main channel. And I'll see you guys later. Take care.